Hi, I'm Louise Field from Adore Your Pelvic Floor, and I am joined with the wonderful and beautiful Fiona Peel. Fiona is one of our CPD presenters for the training that we offer fitness and health professionals, but also an Adore Your Floor coach. And she teaches fitness in many disciplines. But what is really exciting that caught my eye the other day is that Fiona has done a study on sleep recovery. In fact, she's going to be a sleep recovery practitioner. Sounds very important, Fiona.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I just thought, well, let's actually find out how sleep can affect the bladder and also what is sleep apnea. So the first question being is, what is sleep apnea?
Okay, so sleep apnea, there are several types of sleep apnea, but the most common type is something called obstructive sleep apnea. So basically, this type of apnea occurs when the throat muscles intermittently relax and block the airways during sleep. And it can cause the breathing to be interrupted. So if you're sleeping with a partner who suffers from sleep apnea, typically you may find that they snort and they gasp for air and they snore very loudly and then sometimes appear to stop breathing altogether. And in fact, this is what happens with sleep apnea. At its worst, sleep apnea can cause the breathing to stop several times in a minute. And if your airway is blocked, the body's very clever because it sends an alarm call to your brain to jolt you awake, sufficient to make you draw breath. So it's like a survival instinct, really.
Okay, that's really interesting. So my husband, he is a nightmare for that. And if he snored at a regular pace, I could cope with that because it's like living near to a railway station, isn't it? You get used to the noises of the train. But no, it can be 1 minute like that and then silent. And I'm just about to go to sleep and then suddenly he makes all these noises. And I then jump and then I end up on the sofa.
And I think, you know, we can laugh about it during the day, but at night you just want to put the pillow over the head, don't you? It can drive you insane if you're deprived of sleep. You know, it's so fundamental to our basic needs like eating, drinking, sleeping. It's fundamental. So yeah, breathing is survival. So the breath to brain response has to be very powerful, and that's why it will wake a sufferer from sleep apnea, and unfortunately the long-suffering partner as well. So during sleep, our bodies produce something called ADH, which is anti-diuretic hormone, and it allows us to retain more fluid overnight. So because people with sleep apnea don't get into the deep stages of sleep, then in many cases they're not producing enough of this hormone, this ADH hormone. In addition, the drop in the oxygen levels during an episode of sleep apnea triggers the kidneys to excrete more water. So that means if we treat the sleep apnea, it should help with the nocturnal trips to the loo. And of course, this is where pelvic floor problems can be impacted by somebody who is perhaps suffering from sleep apnea, who has this low production of ADH, which is causing their kidneys then to be working harder than they should be during the night and causing them to have to get up to the loo, in some cases several times during the night. So if we deal with the issues of sleep apnea, we're probably going to sort out the problems of the frequent trips to the loo as well at night.
Yeah, because in the Adore Your Floor program, we cover frequency and urgency and urgent continence. And that could be daytime, it could be nighttime, or it could be day and nighttime. And we know that there's certain times in our life, like if you're pregnant, then you find that you go to the toilet more regularly, and also in the menopause you go to the toilet. When I say in the menopause you go to the toilet more regularly, I'm going to rephrase that completely. It's so often that women that are experiencing the menopause find that their frequency increases, and that's due to the change in hormones. But then also you throw in the menopause side of things, then there's the hot sweats, or the brain is overthinking at night when you're trying to go to sleep, and then you throw in the sleep apnea. If you're able to sort out things like the sleep apnea, which is what you are expert at, then let's put the hot flashes to the side. Then you can then deal with the frequency at nighttime by putting the strategies in place to then help build up the tolerance of what the bladder can hold.
Precisely.
Whoa.
So it isn't necessarily that the person who has the frequent trips to the toilet at night is necessarily going to have sleep apnea. The two can be separate, but it's something to consider if a person is going to the toilet lots during the night. If they are suffering from sleep apnea, that could be caused by the sleep apnea.
Can I just say, you just put all of that, what I just said, together nicely. Yeah, I have to say it in a million words, and you got it all nicely put together in a lovely sentence there. Well done.
You're the first person to say that I'm a girl of few words.
concise, good words. That's
of course the benefits of resolving sleep apnea, for example, and the frequent trips to the toilet in the night. As we know, it minimises, certainly in older people, minimises the risk of falls. So, you know, that is another consideration, isn't it? So I'm not implying that everybody who gets up to the toilet lots in the night, as I say, is suffering from sleep apnea. But if you have a partner and they remark upon the fact that you do stop breathing in the night and you do snort and choke and snore, it might be a good idea to seek help, because sleep apnea can have other implications on your health as well. So it can affect blood pressure as an example. There's lots of other things as well, but that is just one example of how sleep apnea can impact on other areas of your health.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because then, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but you heal at night, you repair at night. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your stages of sleep, you've got basically 3 stages of what we call non-REM sleep. So when we're not dreaming, and the 4th stage is when we dream. So your early stages of sleep, you're just drifting into sleep. It's that twilight zone when you know what's going on, but you're sort of not quite there. I call it the twilight zone. So you're sort of semi-conscious. And then you drop into a slightly deeper state of sleep where you would be more difficult to rouse, but you could be woken at that point. And then we get into this stage 3 of sleep, which is when the repair work takes place in our bodies. So typically that stage of sleep is longer in the first part of the night. And that again is a survival instinct. So it's to ensure that our bodies are repaired and recovered. So bones, muscle, tissue, memory consolidation all takes place in that deepest stage of sleep. Okay. And then we start coming out of that stage of sleep into REM sleep. And that's when we have our dreams. It's also referred to as paradoxical sleep, because our minds are very active, the brain is very active, but our bodies are paralyzed. Thankfully, yes, because if you were having a dream that you were, if you acted out all your dreams, it could be chaos, couldn't it? Carnage.
Could be carnage, it could be. So if you are having disturbed sleep at night, apart from all the health things that I'm going to again rephrase it. So when we get a good night's sleep, we get health benefits. If we are not getting good night's sleep, then there's also implications for the following day due to tiredness, etc., isn't there?
Yeah. So poor concentration, forgetfulness. I mean, we can probably tick a few of those boxes in menopause as well. I speak from experience, but it can be forgetfulness, poor concentration, tiredness, irritability, if we're not getting good sleep. And obviously with sleep apnea, that's going to be on a recurrent basis. It's going to be happening night after night after night. So it's really important to seek the help of a GP if you think that you may be suffering from sleep apnea, or if in fact you think your partner may be suffering from sleep apnea, just to check out, that there are things that can be done. So if it's very mild sleep apnea, one of the most obvious things that we can do to help ourselves is to make sure that we maintain a healthy body weight. So obesity and being overweight can exacerbate sleep apnea.
I can say that from because experience, because when my other half puts on weight, he will snore more, and when he loses weight, it's not so bad.
Yeah, yeah, and I think at the moment, you know, with lockdown living, I think probably many of us are carrying 1 or 2 pounds more than usual. But yeah, if we keep a healthy body weight, that's really helpful, not just for the sleep issues, but also pelvic floor function as well. You know, and incontinence issues, pelvic organ prolapse, etc., can all be impacted if we're carrying more weight than we should.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything that you want to add right now? I'm thinking, so because I've heard that you can get sleep clinics, but that's when you've been referred through the GP, where they'll do a study on you to try and help you. But generally, where can people go? I mean, I know this, you actually do teach good sleep habits, don't you?
Yes, yeah. So I do run a course, a sleep recovery course, and it's holistic. So it's not medically driven through sleeping tablets or anything of that nature. And I think if people are suffering from sleep problems, they've probably tried many of the usual remedies. So, you know, the lavender spray for the pillow, the hot milky drink at bedtime, the bath with essential oils. I know when I had sleep difficulties years ago, that I tried pretty much everything, or so I thought. I haven't resorted to sleeping pills, and I think that's something to be mindful of. You know, if we resort to sleeping pills, what tends to happen is they work for a certain period of time, and then we build up a tolerance to them, and then they seem not to be working anymore. Okay. So with the sleep recovery program, we look at tools that are sustainable, that we can use and that we can practice anywhere. We're not reliant upon whale music, a phone connection, etc., etc. We're not reliant upon herbal preparations. It's all resources that we can take with us wherever we are.
Oh, that's
so we look at all sorts of sleep problems. So it could be difficulty in getting to sleep. It might be people who are waking during the night, can't get back to sleep, the mind's churning. It might be people who sleep very deeply but simply wake too early. So it can happen for all sorts of reasons. And the obvious ones right now are levels of high anxiety due to COVID, due to worries about employment, redundancy, financial worries, and so on. So it's never been a more relevant time, really, to address sleep issues.
That's very, very true. That's wonderful. Oh, Fiona, I think that's a lovely insight, because sleep can be a complicated thing if you can't sleep. Or you're kept awake.
Yeah.
And the relevance of nocturnal frequency as well, with regards to how your sleep pattern will affect the bladder and the kidneys, is just amazing.
Yeah, and if you think about it, you know, if you are sleep deprived and you're tired, you know, if you were to go to the gym, you probably wouldn't perform at your best if you're feeling tired. Your pelvic floor muscle group's going to be the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
No different to any other muscle group. So, you know, you might experience problems if you have perpetual sleep problems with the pelvic floor.
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's been delightful to catch up with you and hear about aspect of sleep. So, Fiona, I'm going to let you jump off and get on with the rest of your day, and I much appreciate your time. And likewise, many other people will too.
Well,
okay. I might be calling you up at 2 in. Disturb your sleep. Lots of love, darling. Bye-bye.
Bye.